friends. This is Malay Panpadith, CEO of the SOAR Community Network and co-founder of SOAR Community Nebula. Our goal this year is to interview 1,000 champions of change, and we like to call them change agents around the globe. And today we have someone special who was nominated to us by our dear friend Brian Kelly. I have to do a shout out. Oleg Lougheed, thank you so much for being a part of our global initiative.
I appreciate you having me on your show.
Thank you so much. Well, can you begin by letting our community know who you are and the work that you're doing in the world right now?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, as you had mentioned, I think it's important to acknowledge the people like Brian who have given me this opportunity to be on your platform. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Oleg Lougheed, and I'm a founder of a nonprofit organization that's based out of Austin, Texas, called Overcoming Odds, that focuses on elevating the voices of adoptees and foster youth through storytelling. So when you had mentioned this platform that exists for other leaders and community change agents to share their stories and their experiences, the first thing in my mind is like, this is it. This is perfect opportunity to share a part of ourselves through this interactive dialogue that we have. And so the whole organization that had started from my own personal experience, and it was born out of my experience of being adopted from Russia at the age of 12. As some of you may know, one of the things that you go through as an adoptee, especially from another country, is that there are a lot of challenges and obstacles that you face along the way that you have to find ways to work through. Some of those challenges included me learning a new language, learning a new culture, getting adjusted to some of the roles that I had within my family. And so what I've learned over time, and was fortunate to do so, is I have found my own personal tools and things that have worked for me. And then just recently, about 2 years ago, I had decided to take the next step forward and help other people along a similar journey, to help them tap into their own unique skills and abilities and help them overcome some of the challenges that they're facing currently.
That's fantastic. Wow. So beautiful to see that when you can use your own life's journey to empower others. In the work that we do, one of the things that we do is map to what's mine to do through your personal journey, but also for your business. And we find that there are two motivating factors. And I just want to reiterate this. We know that life is about love and fear. But we also have learned through the work that we do that purpose is motivated by two factors. And one is that you've had an abundance of something that you can't imagine a world not having.
Yeah.
Or the other is that you've had an extreme lack of something that you never want the world to experience, right? And so I just feel like it's so appropriate to share and to say thank you for using your own life's journey as a positive tool to empower others that have similar paths that you've walked on. So thank you for that.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
As you reflect back on your life's journey thus far, can you share any stories or anecdotes around someone or people in your life who've shown you love and compassion, who've helped shift the way that you operate today?
That's a great question. I'm a big believer of law of attraction. I believe that every single day I'm able to experience those elements of kindness, empathy, and people just wanting to help out others. It's one of those instances where I think if you are looking for it, you are going to receive. So if you go into a conversation seeking to connect with that person on a deep level and wanting to get the best out of them and their experiences, then you are going to receive those things. As far as a particular moment that really stands out in my eyes, it would have to be going back to 6th grade, the first grade that I entered when I came to the United States when I was adopted at the age of 12. The teacher, his name is Rick Hall, had a rather difficult task on his hand. In addition to teaching the entire 2 classes that he had at the time, he also had a kid that didn't speak any English, myself. And so for him, I think taking on that journey was something that he was destined to do. And I'm forever grateful for that opportunity that he presented me with So instead of looking at it and saying, well, here's a kid who has many challenges to overcome and I don't know how I can help, he went above and beyond every single time. And he helped me learn English, culture, at times even make friends. I mean, just putting me in random interactions and groups and saying, here's a kid, this is what he does. And then all of a sudden, I think it made a lot of the people feel comfortable because he was already a part of their community. So I think it's people like that that really make the difference in today's world. But I'm a huge believer that if those are the elements that you're looking for to begin with, kindness, empathy, just desire to connect with others, then you're going to receive those. It all starts with you. It all starts with your mindset. And once that changes, then your whole world changes ultimately.
That's great. Well, you touched upon this and you pretty much answered it already. But as you think of community builders and champions for change, um, are there other attributes that come to mind that are consistent as you see them, as you've experienced them?
Yeah, I would say the two that come to mind, I would say empathy and drive. Being able to connect with other people and understand their feelings and also their backgrounds and the things that they've experienced in their past is a huge point for any relationship if you're trying to especially develop that farther into something else. Drive is an interesting one for me because I've always lived my life based off of that characteristic alone. I've always been motivated to just keep pushing myself forward. I'm a huge believer that there's no such thing as perfection. So, in order for you to get to that next level, you have to surround yourself with other people who can help you elevate to get to those next tiers and get those next skills. So, as part of that, you have to be driven to go after it. You have to be driven to get through the obstacles. You have to be driven in knowing that, yes, this may not be a pretty ride, but it's all part of the journey. You know, you will have your ups and you will have your downs. I recently read an article and I actually shared a little bit of my own thoughts on this. And the quote that I decided to pull from that, which is I think something that you're seeking out later on, and that is there's no challenge too great, no obstacle too difficult to overcome. I think just knowing those two things, it does make your life a little bit simpler because when you do have a challenge in front of you, and we always do, you know, the odds are always against us. I mean, whether it comes to finances, relationships, whatever it may be. And I think it's meant to be that way because if it wasn't for the downs, then you wouldn't be able to take a step back and appreciate the ups and really cherish the things that worked out well and reflect back on your journey and say, well, how did I really get to this achievement? Because that achievement is not a singular thing. It's composed of many experiences that happen within your life. And so the more you're able to break it down and kind of dissect that experience, I think that's where the true rich and quality wisdom and knowledge emerges from that.
Fantastic. Well, I couldn't agree more.
Mhm.
So, Oleg, can you now talk a little bit more about how you are utilizing your natural gifts, skills, life experiences to really support causes that matter to you? We can dive into more of your work or other
Mhm.
organizations that you're supporting and uplifting.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, the cause that I had decided to start in Austin focuses around those who have been adopted or in foster care. I'm a big believer in helping people understand that they have a story to tell and they have a story to live. I think it's important for everyone to understand that everyone has a unique journey that's on this planet. No journey is the same. And so one of the things that I've learned over time is that if you've come to a point in your life where you understand who you are and you understand your capabilities, it's almost becomes your duty to help other people to tap into theirs. And the way that you do that is, I think, through moments like these where you are able to share a part of yourself. You are able to stay true to your message and who you are. Because that's how people really change, is when they can see the authentic parts within you, when they can sense the energy that's coming from your message. And that's what's going to tap into their heart and hopefully allow them to understand, I do have those moments. or I do have certain parts that I can go through and tap into later on. You mentioned earlier the whole definition or meaning of purpose. I think one of the ways that you develop that purpose, which does evolve over time throughout life, I don't think there's ever one thing that you find and says, this is it. I think it's a starting point, and I think throughout time it evolves, which is like it's supposed to. I mean, that's part of life. But one of the ways that you do get to that point is through commitment. And I think the commitment has to start with commitment to yourself and the desire to learn and the willingness to connect with other people.
That's fantastic. Beautiful. Okay, can you read that quote again? The quote that
Absolutely.
empowers you and keeps you moving forward.
There's no challenge too great, no obstacle too difficult to overcome.
Powerful.
Mhm.
So, Oleg, what does a better world look like through your eyes?
I think a better world looks, that's a great question. A better world, in my eyes, consists of people who are true to themselves. And going back to what we said earlier, being true to yourself is being able to accept the things that have happened in your past, understand that your journey is unique and it is meant to be shared with other people. That, in my eyes, what a better world would look like. Now, the other thing I think to note within all of this is that you have a choice in creating the type of world that you want to live in. So, as we said earlier, if you're constantly seeking out relationships and connections that are going to help you and allow you to tap into of your story and who you are, then that's the world you're going to live in. So, in regard to a comparison of, well, if things are bad now, how can I change them? I think you're always living in the world you're supposed to,
Hmm.
based on the choices that you've made and based on the people that you're seeking out within that world.
Well, I really appreciate everything that you shared today, and really the work that you're doing is so fabulous.
Mhm.
It's rare to hear stories who really are moving forward in this particular mission or on this particular path of supporting adoptees and foster the youth, because it's so needed. I mean, I think it's something that we don't talk about as much as we should here in the U.S.,
Mhm.
but there's a huge community that needs to be served. And so thank you so much for moving forward in that direction, for you choosing to share your own stories and then being a model for others to share their own story. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate that. Are there any words of wisdom that last words of wisdom you'd like to impart?
N- not necessarily. I think like I said, what's important for people to know is that everyone has a story, and what I believe I'm on a mission to do, and the purpose or part of that purpose that I've been defined for myself is to allow people to tap into their story. So everyone has a story, everyone's experience is unique, and everyone's experience is meant to be shared. One of the things that we've done with our work, and actually one of the reasons why Brian had connected with us to begin with, was he was the one that reached out to us when we had first hosted, I think it was our second or third event, which is a form of a seminar that allows people to tap into different aspects and themes within their own story. So when Brian reached out to us and he said, hey, I want to be able to help, how do I get involved? What are the next steps I could take? And so what we've been doing is we've been creating this structure and format for people to come in, be part of an experience where they can be themselves and where they can be surrounded by other people who are going through a similar journey, and hopefully tap into different aspects of their story through which they'll be able to tap into their own skills, self-belief, and working through different forms of adversity and things like that. So for anyone that's interested, I think it would be of value to check out one of the events that we're hosting. We're hosting them in different parts of the country. The upcoming one we have is in April 27th, called Never Say Kent. as in you can't do something in life. And so it's a very interesting experience to be a part of. So I encourage those that are interested to be a part of that and join us at one of these events.
That's fantastic. Well, that was my last question is how can people learn more about all these events, the work that you're doing, and connect with you?
Mhm. Through our website, it's overcomingodds.today, and you can find us on any social media platform that you can think of. Just type in Overcoming Odds, and we'll be able to connect from there.
Great. Again, thank you so much for your time today and for being a part of our Nebula Change Agent Initiative.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. For those watching, please remember to nominate yourself. In the spirit of storytelling, it's very important that you recognize that you do have a story. So we have a lot of folks nominating other people, but I encourage you to also nominate yourself. There's no judgment here. We think it's brilliant when you have something to say and you have the courage to say it. So please do so. Go visit nebula.soarcommunitynetwork.com. We look forward to hearing from you, and thank you again for tuning in, everyone. We'll talk to you real soon.